You know what? We're gonna run that back.
The way that you were just looking at your phone, I was like, okay, are we gonna start? What'd you say?
Yeah, we're gonna start. New Greenwich.
Right
What's up?
Greenwich?
This is Maui Wowie. So it's
My favorite movie is that I can't decide on a favorite movie.
Press Next Podcast.
Heyo, I'm Katie.
And it's your co-host Corey, and this is the Press Next Podcast. And first things first, we have to say, go Birds.
Go Birds.
Motherfucking Birds, baby. We Super Bowl champs.
Fly, Eagles, fly on the road to victory.
All right, we won't go too far. Obviously, we are Birds fans, so shout out to our beloved team for winning the Super Bowls. And I don't care what nobody says. We are world champs.
We are the champions,
Hey, my friend. Oh my gosh, welcome back for anybody who has always been here. If you've always been a press necky, you know what I'm saying? Welcome back. But if you're new to this, we are a podcast that's a film entertainment podcast dedicated to giving you a fix in a way that sounds like you're sitting on the couch just talking about shows and movies with your best friends, because that's what we are doing, right?
That's right.
Oh, I didn't notice you had your shirt on. I should have put my shirt on too.
Yes, come on. We're the champions.
Not only do we discuss why we love films, but also how they apply in real life. And so we break it down in a couple of segments. We talk about what's going on in film, what's out right now, what's on our screen, and then we break down a film that we have watched. And right now, we are on an Oscar run.
That's right.
So we are watching films that have been nominated for Oscars as we gear up for the Oscars. And this episode will, I guess, center around the movie Conclave. So when we get to that part, if you have not watched it, you can skip. That'll be later in the episode. If you want us to spoil it for you, we'll do that for sure. For sure.
And we'll give you our rating on if you should watch it or not.
Yes, our new rating. We have a rubric, so we will stick to that. And I hope that, because I ain't gonna cap, I don't really rock with Rotten Tomatoes no more after some stuff came out about them, but IMDb, we still with you. But I'm hoping that the Press Next rubric becomes the grading system for movies. Probably not, but one
can dream.
One can dream. I'm about to say, I can hope, I can dream. Anyway, so I want to talk about what's going on in film, and
tell us about film.
I'm gonna tell you about film. So film and TV and documentaries. Obviously, last night was the Super Bowl where our beloved Philadelphia Eagles won, and Kendrick Lamar, K-Dot, performed at halftime.
Mr. Morale.
And I guess he was there with his big steppers. Anyway, his performance drew a lot of criticism. I mean, it also drew a lot of praise. So let's not conflate the two. But that's what's kind of going on today. How did you feel about his performance?
I enjoyed it. I mean, but I listen to Kendrick, right?
Yeah,
I'm a Kendrick fan. So
we're both very much so Kendrick fans.
I do enjoy it. I do feel like it was just, I wish we would have gotten more than G and X.
Yes.
But I mean, I enjoyed it. G and X is what I've been listening to for the past couple months. So
when I heard that, I thought he was going to come out to Whacked Out Murals. And
no,
I did too.
Lit. I did too. And let me talk about that, because that messed up some of the prop bets, because, some people were saying that he did 12 songs and some people were saying 11.
Yeah.
And I voted 11, like I put 11, and technically he performed 11, but since the beginning of Whacked Out Murals was there, people were saying 12.
No, he didn't perform it.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, no,
so
that
that's why
count.
I won.
That doesn't count. First and foremost, Whacked Out Murals is the opener to GNX. I
hard body
highly regard it as being one of the best intro songs to any hip hop /
really
rap artist. Oh yes, I think it is up there. If we talk about best intro songs, it's up there with. I don't want to put a number on it, because there's a lot of great intros.
Yeah,
but it's in the top tier of best intros.
Okay.
And I know a lot of people don't want to, because we're talking about Kendrick, but Drake got one of
Drake
the most.
Yeah, I was
got a couple of them.
I was gonna say
but
Drake.
No. Whacked Out Murals is such a great. GNX is fantastic. I also really enjoyed the performance. Even though on Facebook today I put 6 out of 10, and people were grilling me about that. But here's my point. I loved. It was very much so a Kendrick concert.
Yes.
If you've ever been to a Kendrick concert, it was very much so Kendrick. So we got exactly the Kendrick that we would always get anyway, or maybe like a micro piece of it because it was only like, 20 minutes or whatever.
Right.
But it was on brand for who Kendrick is. Now, granted, because it was the Super Bowl, and I am so used to seeing acts come out and do like their biggest hits from their catalogs.
Right.
I wanted to see like features and Baby Keem and I probably should have known that wasn't going to be the case because it was the Super Bowl with Kendrick Lamar and SZA. So it was like, okay, I'm going to get like the two SZA songs. He got more than two, but like we're going to get Luther, we're going to get All the Stars, right? Mm-hmm. But I wanted he did DNA, he did Humble, but I wanted Baby Keem to come out and I wanted some of his I wanted All Right, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I wanted the feeling of the pop out.
Yes.
That's what it was. So that's why I gave it a 6 out of 10 because of the set list, not necessarily for the Super Bowl. Because the set list on any other thing was perfect.
Right.
If it were his actual concert, the set list was like amazing. And I'm actually, if this is a little taste of what we're going to get on tour, I kind of want to go.
No, I want to go.
For sure, I definitely want to go. You know what I'm saying? I missed the Mr. Morale and Big Steppers. Mm-hmm. I definitely want to go to this because this was incredible. But I was thinking Super Bowl, he was going to come out with his larger catalog.
Right.
So that's why I said 6 out of 10. Not in the sense that it was bad and people were just eating me up. But he drew a lot of criticism because of the messaging. Mm-hmm. And there are some people who the messaging went over their head, as always, right? Beyonce did it and a couple other people did it.
And I think it's important to note that it doesn't matter who is performing the halftime show. There's always going to be criticism.
People are going to be mad, bro. It doesn't matter. Like Taylor Swift can perform, and they're going to be mad at that.
Well, yeah.
Well, of course.
Of course.
Or it could be like I saw this theory that said, who could it be? Because the Super Bowl for next year has already been announced as far as the date and where.
Right.
February 8th next year.
San Francisco.
Yeah, Santa Clara.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're going back to Cali. Going back to Cali. AFC will be the home team. And they were thinking about artists, right? Like who could be the next artist that would headline the show. And somebody put this name out there and I got chills because I would love nothing more. This would fill my heart up. Who have I always hailed as the greatest female artist of all time? Hip-hop artist of all time.
Missy Elliott?
Missy Elliott. If Missy got the Super Bowl, I would go ballistic, bro. Yeah. I would go ballistic. I love Missy. Like, I can't, it's almost like I feel like I know her. Mm-hmm. Obviously, this is terrible. Like, it's just what do they call it?
Parasocial relationship.
Yeah, it's a parasocial relationship. I don't know Missy at all, even though she did retweet me one time. I don't know her at all, but I grew up with Missy. I love Missy so much. Missy has had her hand on so much music when it comes to writing, production, and her own, that her catalog is incredible.
Is she from California?
No.
Oh.
It's not a lot of people who can put men too. So this is not even just women. It's not a lot of people who can put their catalog with Missy.
Yeah.
So I would love to see a Missy Elliott Super Bowl. I also think she's so palatable. And when I say palatable, I don't mean that in the sense of like palatable to white people. I just think she's so mainstream that everybody knows her music and has heard her music before too. So I think she would be a very, I am with the campaign of Missy for the next Super Bowl.
I'm with it.
I'm with that for sure. What else is going on in film? Blake Lively, man, still has her feet to the fire. Have you been following up with this whole Justin Baldoni, Blake Lively situation?
Not at all. So I watched the first couple things that came out about it. And then there was so much back and forth. I was like, I'm just going to have to catch y'all at the trial because I don't even know. He said, she said. And
how about that?
I feel like this is what they want is they want so much information that people just don't care anymore. And then it dies out.
They'll settle. They have to. They'll settle. There's no way they'll get like a judgment. Somebody will settle. But this has been like my Roman Empire.
No, I know. The only information that I know about it has been from overhearing the videos that you're listening to.
I have been in...
Give me a quick rundown.
Okay, for those of y'all who don't know. Also, because we have this platform, this is all alleged and this is public information. We are not making a statement on whose side we are on or nothing like that. So please don't come for us. So we watched it and it ends with us. We actually did a podcast episode over that movie. I didn't read the book. You read the book, right?
I did.
And Colleen Hoover, East Texas girl, right? Mm-hmm. We stand. So we was like, we gonna go see this film because we gonna go support our East Texas people, small town people. We rock with you. We saw the movie. We did our episode on that. There was a couple things I felt a little weird about the run up for the movie as far as how they were marketing it because I knew nothing about the film.
Right.
And it felt like they were marketing it as like and specifically Blake Lively's side, like it's kind of like a hot romance, right? Like that's all the stuff that I was seeing was that it's just going to be this hot romance movie. And then I saw the movie, I was like, this is not a hot romance movie. This is crazy.
That's interesting that that's what you thought. Because I have obviously no opinions on the lead up to it because I knew what it was about.
Oh, right. Well, I had no idea.
Right.
So I was like, okay, this is about to be a rom-com. It's coming out. My girl loves the book. Maybe we go to the movie. Maybe she starts feeling a little frisky. Okay, maybe that's a little too much. Because that's what I was thinking. Because that's how Blake Lively and them that was how they was promoting the movie. And then I got in the movie and I was like,
oh, I was wrong.
Hard left, okay? Like we went the completely opposite direction. Well, why is it important as far as to this point? Well, because then I started having questions because you were telling me like, hey, this is Justin Baldoni. He's also directing the film. I was like, oh, that's cool. I did not know nothing about no Justin Baldoni until this moment.
I mean, I didn't either until this movie.
I had no idea. Now, then it came out that Blake Lively was suing, I think, not only Justin, his production company and everything else for creating kind of a hostile work environment, specifically around like sexual harassment and some things that happen on set.
Right.
And so that came out. And so everybody, if you can remember this, and rightfully so, everybody was automatically kind of coming out with these think pieces against Hollywood, Justin Baldoni, men on set, movies like this, yada, yada, yada.
Right.
Some time passed, and I don't mean like it was like months. I mean like weeks passed, and then I think there's a countersuit from Justin Baldoni and his lawyer. Now, Justin, I don't think has really spoke at all. I don't think he's even released a statement. I think all of his stuff is really going through his attorney. Mm-hmm. And it's just starting to get nasty because the thing that Justin apparently kind of has, I wouldn't say on his side, but like this has been working very well for him, is that, the hell was that?
Ice, I think.
Oh, okay. Is that they were recording everything on set. So he has footage of like everything.
Right.
And so and because they have laid out all the information, they even started a website so they can put all the information out there. That has kind of swayed the public opinion. So I think it's a very interesting thing to do for Justin Baldoni. But people have been wrapped up in this. Now Taylor Swift's name has been thrown around. Colleen Hoover's name has been kind of dragged through the mud. Ryan Reynolds' name has been caught up in this as well, and some other people. So it's just starting to get really, 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 really nasty. I think the court date isn't even until next year.
Oh,
so we're gonna have a long year of this going on.
Okay.
Oh, very long year because the internet sleuths and those content creators who are going to be making money off of this are going to drag this until the very end. It's going to remind you a lot of the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard case. Mm-hmm. I feel like that'll be a lot of parallels there. So
I do think that the one thing that I found interesting from this whole case was the astroturfing of it all.
Yeah, which I had to look up.
There's actual bots that do these like smear campaigns.
Yeah.
That's so crazy. Like should be illegal.
For sure. But I mean, that's what they do for everything, right? Like that's what the bots are for. So we can do, I mean, look at the bots. If we talk about bots in general.
Right. There's bots that like, make streaming numbers higher than they are.
Right. This is the whole Kindred thing, right? So there's lawsuits out right now where like bots have ruined, AI is great as a tool, but it's kind of ruined a lot of things because remember back in the day, you can go buy sneakers.
Right.
Well, now you can't really go. You be a sneakerhead because people have bots set up to purchase all the sneakers.
To purchase them to resell at higher value.
Exactly. So it's like bots have killed everything, and I'm sure that they will be a part of this story as well because they always are. But anyway, if y'all want to know what's out right now in the movie theaters, the top 3 things are, at least this week, who are in the box office: Dogman, Heart Eyes, and Love Hurts.
Love Hurts.
I'm gonna be honest with you.
I haven't heard of any of these.
I think Hard Eyes I have, but Dogman, I think it might be an animated movie. I'm gonna assume. And then Love Hurts, I don't remember. But this Friday is that new Captain America.
That's right.
And I don't care what nobody say. Marvel is still Marvel, baby. And I'm finna be seated.
Okay.
My big bag of popcorn. Look.
On Valentine's Day.
On Valentine's, you know what I'm saying? That's our little date night. Maybe we'll get to Olive Garden across the street. Get some breadsticks. It could be like a high school Valentine, you know. Right. Olive Garden in the movie. I get a little box of chocolates in the heart.
Okay.
You know, a little small teddy bear. Something I can afford. I'm brokey broke. Anyway, what's on your screen? Let's talk about the good stuff. What you been watching?
Yeah. So since last week, I don't know if I mentioned it last week, but since last week, I have been watching Survivor.
Yes.
The most recent season of Survivor.
Because of Boston Rob, punk ass.
Well, all of the Survivor people who are on Traitors, I'm like, okay.
You got to figure it out.
Like, I'm kind of interested in Survivor because I used to watch it growing up. I think I mentioned this last week. I used to watch it growing up, and I couldn't remember what it was about. Like, I knew that they were on an island, but I couldn't remember, like, how you win. I couldn't remember the logistics of, like, I knew you got voted out, but I didn't remember that there were different tribes and all that. So, I'm hooked. I am hooked. I'm obsessed. I want to go back and watch Boston Rob season. But yeah, that's really just all I've been watching is Traitors and the new episode of Traitors and then Survivor. And I've been reading Onyx Storm. Yeah,
you stuck on that Onyx Storm. I walked in today, y'all. She had Onyx Storm in her lap, sleep.
Yeah.
She's out of there. Out of there.
It's a gloomy day. It
was
perfect
a gloomy
nap
day.
weather.
It was one of them twilight days.
It's one of my 5 p.m. naps.
Of course, I've been watching Traitors, and I'm so happy. And I try to tell y'all, Boston Rob was not playing a good day. They literally came for my head last week when I was talking about Boston Rob, and I was like, I'm sure Boston Rob is fantastic as a Survivor player, and everything else. For at least what I'm seeing. He's way too aggressive. He's not playing a good game.
I think because at first I was like, Boston Rob has to go. But then after watching Survivor, I was like, no, not Boston Rob. Like, I get it. Because you have to be like that on Survivor.
Yeah, but not in Traitors.
I know. But I think that's why he's like that, which is made me respect him a little bit more.
I'll be cutthroat too, but you got to be smart. And I think with him, he was making too many moves that put too much of a target on his back.
Right. And then saying, someone set me up.
Of course they would do that. Yeah. Like, come on, bro. You have to be an elite liar if you're going to do that. And I mean elite.
Right. And he got away with it a couple times.
But people was always on his trail, but he was able to get them out because other people, I think, bought into the mystique of who he was. Mm-hmm. Right? Like, at the beginning of the season, they set Boston Rob up and they said, hey, you can let him in the game or not. And everybody was so afraid to let him into the game, right? Right. So there's already mystique surrounding this character. Then when he gets in the game, everybody's like, oh, gosh, it's Boston Rob. I'm like, bro, y'all playing a game. Lock in, okay? Lock in.
He's
Stop
just another player.
Exactly. They let his precedence, or let his I can't even think about what I'm trying to say. Anyway, it preceded
his reputation.
There you go. Thank you. It let his thank you, baby. I keep saying it's been a long day. They let his reputation precede him, and then they got enamored with his reputation.
Right.
So he was making these gaudy moves as a gamesman, and I'm happy he got out. Anyway, so I've been watching that, and then I've been watching Silo. I ain't gonna lie, man. Silo tough.
One thing. And I've been trying to push you on to Apple TV shows.
Yeah, Apple TV.
Apple TV's got the hitters. I feel like it's what HBO used to be.
Yes. Yeah. When it was HBO Max. Not just Max.
Yeah.
When it
was like HBO, like
with no merger.
Like True Blood.
Yeah.
And Game of Thrones.
Apple TV got them heaters, apparently. Now, I do like Silo. I got to catch up, though, because I think they're in, like, their second season already, or if they haven't already completed the second season. Oh, wow. And I'm in the first season.
Okay.
But I'm rocking with it. I like those kind of post-apocalyptic, but not, like, zombie post-apocalyptic. It's like, what would we do?
Like dystopian.
Yeah, but, like, if something big happened and there were some silos we had to live in or whatever, what would life be like? And the thing about it is we would still be the same, right? Like, people would still...
There would still be
classism, racism, other isms. Oh, well, I'm on the first floor and you're on the 144th. Like,
right.
It's that's crazy. And we're in close quarters. I feel like I would be fighting more if that was the case. Like, I can't go outside and I'm dealing with racism. Oh, somebody getting slapped. Somebody getting slapped. No sunlight. Y'all gonna have to. Anyway, that's what I've been watching. I'm actually excited to maybe watch an episode or two tonight because I want to get well, you gonna watch Survivor. Anyway.
Yeah.
You know how it is. Don't play with me. I'm already knowing. I'm seeing what you're doing, and I might have to get on that PlayStation because PlayStation Network was down. Do you think there's a conspiracy?
What?
PlayStation Network was down Friday night into Saturday, almost all day Saturday, and then Sunday at the Super Bowl, Kendrick was using the PlayStation controller, talking about the game, the American game.
I don't know what the conspiracy would be.
I don't know, but I'm conspiracy Corey right now. I'm thinking I'm trying to connect the dots.
Okay.
You feel me? Okay, this is the time of the show where we start talking about the movie that we watch. It is called Conclave. I'm gonna let Katie just read this part, and then I'll tell you can move on if you would like to.
Yeah, but before we get into that, we forgot to mention this is our 100th episode.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
We hit 100.
this is our 100th episode.
Grab my hand.
Oh, I thought you wanted Perry to high five you.
Oh, you can high five me too, Perry. Look how you chilling. Boom. 100 episodes. That's crazy.
I know.
That's crazy. Do you remember sitting in a 500 square foot apartment, maybe 600?
In Stillwater, Oklahoma.
Yes.
During the pandemic.
Pandemicked out, bored, trying to figure out what we want to do with our lives. And I was like, listen, I have an idea. And we love watching TV. We love watching movies. We love documentaries. I've always wanted to do a podcast, and I want to do something with you that like we can sustain for our entire life. Like we want to do it until we have kids, and our kids do it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like we can always do this. We'll never not have stuff to talk about.
And you were like, yeah,
let's do it. And you remember our first setup? We were like at a table, sitting across from each other.
Yeah, like a little card table.
Yeah, a little card table. We went from that to like being in different rooms where we would like zoom in because we had
on Riverside.
Yeah, on Riverside. I hope Riverside's doing good, but damn, we was there with the inception, so it was crazy. Man, we have went through a lot of iterations.
I know.
We went through different seasons.
Took some breaks.
We went through different types of shows, like not shows, but like when we first started, we were going episode by episode. Remember that? What was our first TV show?
Nurse Ratched.
Let's go.
And then the Queen's Gambit.
And then the Queen's Gambit. Yes. Okay.
Speaking of, when are we getting season 2 of the Queen's Gambit?
I'm over it. If you wait too long, I'm almost at the point where I don't even want to see Stranger Things no more.
Yeah.
I'm over it.
I saw a thing the other day that said Euphoria was recording, and I was like,
I'm done with Euphoria too.
Okay, and
honestly, because I think they also said they're going to do a time jump.
I hate when shows do that.
Yeah, well, they have to. These people are grown and they're crazy. Anyway, I'm proud of you. I'm proud of us.
100.
100 is crazy. 100 is great. A lot of people don't even make it to 20. We made it to 100, so
proud of you.
And we'll keep on going, celebrate it.
All right. So for our 100th episode, we are going to talk about Conclave. Again, this is an Oscar-nominated movie. So if you want to watch it, go ahead, turn it off, watch it, and come back. Or just listen to what we have to say about it and then decide if you want to watch it or not. So here we go. Cardinal Lawrence is tasked with running this covert process after the unexpected death of the beloved Pope. Once the Catholic Church's most powerful leaders have gathered from around the world and are locked together in the Vatican halls, Lawrence uncovers a trail of deep secrets left in the dead Pope's wake. Secrets which could shake the foundations of the Church. This has been nominated for 8 Oscars, including Best Picture, Best Actor in a Leading Role, Best Actress in Supporting Role, Best Editing, Best Production Design, Best Adapted Screenplay, Best Original Score, and Best Costume Design.
That's a lot of Oscars.
I am shook that it got that many Oscar nominations. That's crazy.
We'll get into it for sure. So like Katie said, at this point, if you don't want any spoilers, go ahead and move off and come back whenever you watch it, and it'll always be here. So if you do not care, if you're like, will I watch Conclave or will I not? Stick around because we're going to talk about it. So the first question we typically always have is like, what are your initial thoughts on it? And did it live up to your expectations?
Yeah, once again, I didn't have any expectations because I didn't know what it was about. I actually thought it was a horror movie.
You did. You
thought
sure
it was
did.
going to be about possession or something.
I literally was in the kitchen and I said, hey, what do you want to watch? I know we're watching Oscar movies, and she was like, well, which one? And I said, maybe Conclave. It's on Peacock. And she was like, you want to watch horror at night? And I was like, I don't think it's a horror film.
Yeah. I thought it was. I thought it was like
It's a political thriller.
political thriller,
Yeah.
but I wouldn't even consider it a political thriller.
Yeah, thriller it's definitely political.
Yeah, but
The
like
thriller part is the thriller part is the part that I'm like, is it really? I could see though, like, if you were heavy into Catholicism and like,
I guess it's a thriller in the sense that they're trying to piece together answers.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense as to why. So basically, the quick kind of insight to this, I guess she read it off, but the Pope died.
Yeah.
And they have to have this conclave to figure out who is the next Pope. And there's a guy who's a dean. His last name is Lawrence, Cardinal Lawrence. He's the one who's running this entire conclave, and he is trying to, make sure that they're voting correctly. People aren't being shady. People aren't doing any kind of atypical things to the political sphere. And at every turn, something is going on.
Right.
And we're talking about cardinals who are coming from across the world, like all over the world. So it's not just, they're at the Vatican, but so it's not just people who are close by. It is cardinals from everywhere.
From all continents.
Yeah. So
Stanley Tucci's in the movie.
Stanley Tucci is in the movie. And I'm going to be honest with you. I have not really seen a Stanley Tucci movie that I did not like.
Yeah. True.
So even The Core, he was in The Core, and I thought he did fantastic, and that's one of my favorite movies of all time. So he's in this too. And I don't know if he's up there or he's probably not supporting role. I thought he did good, but I also didn't think he had such a big part.
Yeah,
But anyway, so that's what it's about. And so I thought it was like, I didn't have any expectations either.
But I generally, I don't want to say I disliked it, but it was like a good watch and made you go, and think about things, but I don't feel like I would ever put it on again.
It made me go, at the very end.
Exactly.
But during the movie, the things that I feel like I was really focused on, as we normally are, like you're focused on the entertainment aspect. I was looking at some of the technical things that we'll get into. And technically, I thought it was a very sound film. It was we'll talk about it. I thought they did a great job. And I can understand why some of these Oscar nominations are actually sitting there technically.
Right, like best editing.
Oh my gosh, the costume design, some of the, they did amazing. Some of the shooting and directing choices were fantastic.
Yeah.
But the story is just like, hey, somebody went into a room and said, hey, what if we write a story about the Pope dying and the process of them choosing a new Pope? And somebody said, yeah, we'll give you all the millions you need to make that film.
Right.
This is why y'all can't give up on your dreams. You cannot give up on your dreams. Do you hear how simple that is? This is the movie. Am I lying?
No, that's basically the entire movie.
Somebody pitched that idea. Now, I'm not going to we'll get to the end.
And they're in one location.
They're in one location the whole time. They're just at the Vatican the whole time.
Yeah.
The entire time. So you never leave. You never get to really see too much outside or anything like that. So you are stuck for 2 hours kind of in this place. And it's, the image is, would you say, kind of darker? It's a little heavier.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So you need a little bit of emotional battery to actually watch this film.
For sure.
Is that a fair assessment?
That's fair.
Okay. So let's get to the core themes. What is Conclave truly about beneath its surface? That'd be like faith, power, secrecy, morality. What do you think? Do you think there was something?
Yeah, I think all of those things. I think power for sure, secrecy, morality, politics within religion. I think it points out a lot of different things because I am not Catholic. I didn't grow up around a lot of Catholicism, so I didn't know about Catholicism until I went to college and was around more people that grew up Catholic. And then, your dad grew up Catholic. I've talked to him quite a bit about it. So I guess I didn't understand, obviously I knew there was a pope, but I didn't understand how deep it was that there's representatives from all different countries, cardinals. Didn't know what that was until I watched this movie. So I think that this movie really brought out those core themes that is in anything, right? I feel like you have a corporation, you have, power, morality, politics within the corporation. So I think that it pulls out a lot of those themes. And you wouldn't necessarily think about those things when it comes to, well, I guess it depends on your stance on religion, but you wouldn't think that those things were part of religion, right? Because one of the things that Dean Lawrence said was,
I thought we was
aren't we here to serve God?
And Stanley Tucci was like, stop, don't be so naive.
Don't be so naive.
A bar, okay? I'm glad I was reading it up. Good job. Because I literally, that was like one of the things was that I feel like that was a moment that stuck out to me.
For sure. Because it's like, yeah.
That's crazy. Like if you would have said that to me, that would have made me like, how does that not
everything.
Exactly? How does that not turn you against the church?
Right, because this whole time I've been trying to do my best,
right,
to put God at the forefront of this, and like every decision I make is for the betterment of our faith. And
then I go to another leader who, at this time, Cardinal Lawrence was actually trying to, hey, I think you could be the next pope.
Right.
I feel like you have what it takes to be the next pope. I'm the dean who's helping make some of these decisions, yada, yada, yada. And then I make a statement like, well, what are you talking about? I thought we was here to serve God. And you're like, don't be so naive. Like, this is bigger than this.
Right.
This is politics. This is power.
Right.
Right. Which is, sheesh. That part. And that's why I do think when we get into the question of moral dilemmas, right? Like, the question is, did the film present ethical questions that challenge your beliefs or made you think differently? Now, I don't know if it challenged my belief or made me think differently per se. I do think there's a moment where I'm like, that I understand that this is a tough decision.
Right.
Right. And I'm going to go ahead and talk about the ending.
Well, yes, before you get into that, I just want to say that it did not make me question, well, I don't think it made me question my beliefs because I grew up Baptist and I believe that my religion is a relationship with God and I don't have to go through someone else to get to God, right? Whereas with Catholicism, you're telling your sins. What is that called?
Confession.
Confessing your sins. Yeah, sorry. You're confessing your sins to someone else and they're telling you how to be clean of that sin. I always found that weird because, or weird shouldn't be the word. I always found that, sorry, my words are not coming to me today. I always found that questionable because how can you as a human who sins tell me how I need to ask for forgiveness, you know? Well, and I know a pastor, like,
you're saying a pastor could be a similar
but
parallel.
I don't need to go through my pastor to get to God, you know?
Yeah, some pastors would feel like you should, right? Like, I'm the spiritual leader of this body.
Right.
You know, you should. So
it didn't make me question my beliefs. However, it did make me think about, because in one part of this, you find out that one of the cardinals is buying votes.
Yes.
He's paying people off to become the next pope. And I'm like, wait a minute. That's shady business.
Right.
You know?
Right. And on top of that, I feel like, and again, I am not Catholic. So a part of it felt like what people believe to be Catholicism or part of Catholicism is like scandal. Right.
Right. Of course.
Like that would be as somebody on the outside looking in, please, if there's somebody who is of the Catholic faith, correct me if I'm wrong. But I feel like one of the tropes that is attached to the Catholic community is that there's always some sort of scandal going on, right? And so I feel like it played on that. And it was like, is this what is really happening behind the scenes in these conclaves, right?
Right.
Like, is it a shady business to become a pope? Now, granted, that's where I do think I would like to hear from somebody to see if this movie was on par with what they have either seen or believed to be going on.
Right.
Right? Because I could easily, as somebody who's not a Catholic, watch this movie and be like, oh, yeah, this is why I would never be a Catholic, right? You know what I'm saying? But I don't want to do that as a person who would like to just learn more and be more educated. I want to know what goes on. Would you call this to be accurate? And that's also not to say that, like, what goes on in the churches that we grew up in ain't the same stuff, right?
Right,
like,
absolutely.
People may be doing some of the same things. So I found it very interesting because I just don't think that, at least in America, I've seen a lot of Catholic stories or movies.
Right.
So
100%.
And if I do, they're like these possession movies.
Right. Which is why I thought this was about possession. But it also, brought out the same tropes that we see in other aspects where racism was involved.
Yep.
They didn't want
the African
cardinal to become pope, or that one man had an outburst against Islam, the Nation of Islam.
Oh, the Italian.
Yeah, and about Muslims and how
we should be going to war with them, and this is a spiritual war, and really it's because of them, and we accept them in our country, but look how they do us, right? It was
basically if you're not with us, you're against us,
right?
Type of thing.
And that was a moment where, so at the beginning of the grouping, when everybody was getting together, there was a cardinal that nobody knew who came to this conclave.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot what his name was.
I forgot.
But he was Spanish. And nobody really knew who he was. He just kind of popped up.
Mm-hmm.
But apparently when they tracked his paperwork, he had the paperwork. So he was definitely a cardinal.
Mm-hmm.
And in that moment when this...
and he had been working in Kabul.
Yes. And when there's a scene, and this is one of the technical things, anytime they were in that theater...
Something was going down.
Something was going down. And it was beautifully shot, man. It was just like the spotlight. I've never seen somebody do this in an artistic way. Where they put people in a room. All the cardinals were wearing like red.
Mm-hmm.
The chairs were blue. So there's automatic contrast.
Contrast, yeah.
And there's a huge spotlight on all of the cardinals, not just one person. And so the rest of the room is pitch black dark. And sometimes... with the story, a cardinal would be like half in the shadows and half not, depending on like what just happened in their story, which was, again, from a technical standpoint, cinematography, production design, incredible. So they just had that scene where the Italian was talking about the Muslims, and this other cardinal stands up and gives a speech that it really just hit you in the heart, right?
Right.
And in my head, I said, wow, that like I feel like now that is a pope.
Right.
Right. At least from what I understand a pope to be. I
think you said that out loud too.
I might have said that. Like that's a pope.
It was about acceptance and.
Yes. And it was about moving forward, and it was about there are some things you had to change, and it's about fighting, it's not about fighting a people, it's about fighting what's in the heart and changing that. And you can't put a face to that, right? That's not black, that's not white, that's not brown, that's not yellow, it's soul.
Right.
And I said that, I was like, wow, that sounds like a pope. And what do you know? They voted him to be the pope.
Right.
And he accepted to be the pope. And I didn't know that popes get like different names. Mm-hmm. Like they choose what name they want to go by. And he chose Innocent, which I need to look a little bit more into.
Yeah, I didn't understand that part. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. But here's the kicker. And here's the thing that was like, this was the thing.
Yeah, spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. Big spoiler alert. The kicker was this. They found out, as they had already said that he was going to be next pope. He's actually back getting his garments and robes put on. Somebody pulls Cardinal Lawrence aside and says, hey, we figured out about old buddy. I found something about when he went to this trip somewhere. It wasn't to go to Switzerland. It wasn't to go to this hospital. Well, what hospital was it? He was like, it was to a clinic. Well, okay, what were you doing at the clinic? Like, he wasn't going there to spread the word. He was going to have a procedure. So Cardinal goes back to talk to the now new pope. It says, hey, I need you have to tell me everything about what's going on. Mm-hmm. And the new pope explains that the procedure that he was going to get done was a double hysterectomy or something like that. Mm-hmm. Now, mind you, this entire movie, this is a male presenting.
Not a double hysterectomy. There's only one uterus, but yeah.
Sorry.
Laparoscopic
hysterectomy. Yes. Sorry. Thank you for getting me right. You could have. I don't know. Anyway. And so, of course, for Cardinal Lawrence,
we're all like, wait a minute.
Yeah, what's going on?
You're a woman?
Right. What's the SpongeBob meme? The caveman SpongeBob? And I feel like the Pope gave such an eloquent answer, which was, I was gonna get the surgery, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody thinks I'm a man
Mm-hmm.
because I have always presented that way.
Mm-hmm.
And the Pope went into talking about how, from a scientific standpoint, let's just say there's multiple parts happening.
Right. So he explains that
He got
like from growing up, he also thought that he was 100% male. He, presented as a male. He saw himself as a male. He has the parts of a male. But he went when he was 30 to get his appendix taken out, and they told him that he had a uterus. So he was like,
what's going on?
what the hell?
And he decided against the surgery because he said, basically in layman's terms, God made me. I am who God made me.
Mm-hmm.
Why would I take that out? And it was like a moment for Lawrence, and that's basically how the movie ends.
Right.
It was a moment for Cardinal Lawrence of like, what do I do in this moment?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's a bar.
Right.
That's a bar. And sometimes we have these conversations, right? Like, I feel like if we're talking to somebody who's religious or something else, and we get into these what ifs, and people love to like, oh, you're just what if in this situation. This is not a common situation, yada, 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 yada. And you know me. I'm always of the mindset of like, if that's a 1 out of 99%, right? Or 100. 1 out of 100. I always tell you what. Somebody got to be the one.
Yeah.
Right? So the one has to happen. So I want to talk about that one situation.
Mm-hmm.
So of course, if I were to ask you a question like, hey, what could the Pope be a somebody who is transgendered or multi-sex? People would say something like, that's ridiculous. You're bringing out a ridiculous example.
Mm-hmm.
In this movie,
or absolutely not.
Yeah. Or in this movie, did a very good job of eloquently and tastefully presenting that situation.
You know what it reminded me of?
What?
The female boxer in the Olympics this summer.
Yes. I didn't even make that parallel, but I can see how that would, 100%. 100%. So it didn't like make me think any differently, but I was like, wow. When it got to that, I was in my head, the first thing I thought was, how do I get more people to watch this movie?
Mm.
Unfortunately, I think people would not make it to the end. But let's talk about the direction of cinematography and everything else.
Yeah.
In the technical aspects, was there anything that like you enjoyed, right? Like the Vatican, some of the scenery, like did you enjoy anything?
Yeah, I mean, I think some of the shots were cool. Like you were saying, the contrast was neat. But it was in one location the whole time. I feel like it was very dark. Like it was a dark movie.
Yeah.
In the sense of like the scenes were very dark. So it might be hard to watch with the lights on or in the daytime with the sun coming in. I also feel like, do you find that there wasn't a lot of dialogue?
Yeah, there wasn't. Well, and I like movies like that.
Yeah.
I think that when you're able to
when you can tell a story through the cinematography.
Yes, without the talking. If I can deliver a story with less dialogue, I think those tend to bode well as films and typically start to get some of those Oscar nods because it becomes more of a creative art. If I just have to sit here and talk to you about what's going on, hey, look over there, a chair's coming.
Right.
How do I creatively say that that's about to happen without me actually having to say it? So, but I did find that. It wasn't like there was a good balance, I felt like, of dialogue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's about all I have to say about that. I
think the sound design was cool. I know they got Best Original Score, and they used the same score. I was like, this score is interesting.
Noticed.
I bet if we go back and watch it, that little, it was like strings.
Oh, yeah.
But it was the same thing. It was and it wasn't a lot. They just used it at the perfect time. So I don't know if I would say Best Original Score because it wasn't a lot to the score. It was literally, maybe less is more. I don't know. Whoever's voting. If I was voting, I don't know if I would give it Best Score. But the set design was very beautiful. They did a great job with costume and contrast. And the funny thing is, It's like, how do you do a great job with costume? We're talking about nuns and cardinals.
Mm-hmm.
Somehow it didn't feel nunnish
Or costumey.
or costumey.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But they did
I
a
agree
great
with that.
job. So like they're fantastic there. I think from a technical aspect, they did a really good job.
Mm-hmm.
Now, from a performer aspect, how do you feel? Which actor delivered the best performance?
I think the main guy.
Yes.
I think that
He was also in The Menu.
the Menu. Yep.
Yeah. I liked the nun.
Yeah.
Whoever the supporting actress is,
Mm-hmm.
I think she did
Like the
great.
head nun.
Yes.
Yeah.
She did a fantastic job.
She did.
Every single, and she wasn't even, I felt like wasn't in the movie a lot. It's just when she was, she delivered.
That's kind of why I was surprised to see supporting actress, because I was like, oh, she was really the only female that talked in the entire movie.
Which was also kind of against what at least I think I know.
Right,
about
and she got them together.
She did.
She said, I know we're supposed to be seen, not her, but y'all are going to hear me.
And that's what I'm saying. She delivered. Like it was like you could feel. She felt very. I hate to say this, but like she felt very auntie-ish.
Uh-huh.
Like okay, auntie mad. Like you know what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
she didn't play about. If there was anybody who carried the truth throughout that entire film, it was her.
Right.
And that kind of feels funny. It doesn't really feel funny when you dig into the historical aspects of politics, because generally speaking, you can peel back regimes and see that women were really running things.
Right.
And I think that was another subtle undertone of the film, and that's probably why.
Yeah.
But I like Stanley Tucci's character. I also like the Italian guy. I think he did great, and sometimes I don't like when they speak another language like Spanish and then go back into English.
Right.
Like I would kind of just want you to dive into whatever language you're
One or
using.
the other, yeah.
Because I don't know what it makes. I don't know how it makes your character have more depth.
That's fair.
Unless you are actually speaking to another Spanish-speaking person. But like if you're in a room full of people who everybody has already established for speaking English here.
Right.
And you start speaking Spanish and then halfway through you start speaking English again.
Right.
I don't know if it gives you more depth. But I did think that even though his character was kind of disgusting to me, he did a really good job. Like when he was on screen, I was like, you mother...
Yeah.
I want to slap you. You know what I'm saying?
Him and the guy that was buying votes.
Yes. Because they were both slimy characters.
Right.
But they did a great job of, if you were to see them outside, they smile and grin, and they're like the perfect in leadership, but are slimy people.
Right.
Drain the swamp type of people. Got perfect chameleons, because when they go out, they would get everybody's votes. And behind the scenes, they're doing slimy stuff, man. Crazy. Did the main character or supporting cast feel fully developed? Oh, we kind of talked about that a little bit. Villain or justified? Were there clear antagonists, or was the film more nuanced? I think more nuanced for sure.
Yeah. I definitely feel it's more nuanced.
Have you ever watched a political thriller? Or religious thriller? I'm trying to think in my head, like...
I can't think of anything else.
Do we gotta hit Google? Google?
Let me Google.
Let me hit that Google.
You could have been Googled.
Oh, now all my people hit me up talking about where you at. Not me. First
All
off,
the
you gotta
President's
told me.
Men. Never saw
Okay, hold on. Keep going. Give me the list.
that. Munich, The Day of the Jackal, 3 Days of Condor, Argo, Blowout, Enemy of the State.
Enemy of the State I've seen. That's
Will Smith, right?
That's Will Smith.
Yeah.
That is a political thriller. Okay.
Zero Dark 30.
Zero Dark 30. What about
The Hunt for Red October.
Wait, that's a new one, huh?
I don't think so. That's old.
I think they might be rebooting
1990.
that.
Bridge of Spies. These are all political
Bridge of
thrillers.
Spies, though. I've seen Bridge of Spies.
Let me look up religious thrillers, though.
Yeah, look up. Man, Enemy of the State. Shout out to Will Smith.
Religious thrillers.
What you got?
The Da Vinci Code.
Yeah.
Constantine.
Yep, seen that. Oh, wow.
Stigmata.
Okay, again.
The Exorcist.
Like I said, okay, now we're getting, you said Constantine Stigmata. I was like, now we're getting into those possession type things.
Yeah. Immaculate with Sydney Sweeney, that new one. Let's see.
Is that not the same? That's a horror kind of, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, come on, bro.
The Deliverance.
Again.
The First Omen. These are all like...
They're all like these horrors.
Yeah. Angels and Demons. Pray for the Devil.
Yeah. That's wild. So...
Mary.
I wouldn't put those as thrillers, religious thrillers, but we need a new genre.
Yeah, because the
Those
Exorcism of Emily Rose is in here. That's
that's a classic.
Well, yeah, that's like a horror though. It's not.
I saw that mug when I was about 15 years old.
Okay, I hate.
Crazy time. Anyway, let's get to the final thoughts on our ratings.
Okay.
If you can highlight one scene as the most impactful, which would it be?
I think the given answer obviously is the end when we find out.
Oh my God.
Like,
yeah,
about his medical history. But honestly, I do think it's the scene when they're in the theater and they're having the debate on Muslims and Catholics.
That was tough.
Yeah.
That was a very impactful moment. Man, I feel like there's a lot in this movie that was very impactful, because I think that was impactful. I think the end was impactful. I really think that when he was talking about, like, I'm here to serve God, and he was like, don't be naive.
Yes.
That was impactful
that's
too.
That's probably the most impactful,
That
actually.
one really stuck me. I don't know why.
No, same.
That one stuck with me.
Same.
It kind of made me, like, it just pissed me off. Like, because there's probably people out there who
can we
are
not
doing
have
that.
anything?
Right, but there's also probably, like...
Without corruption?
Yes, that's exactly how it was.
Yeah.
Like
why
what?
can't we just have something without...
Do you feel me? And
humans
with God,
ruining it. Yeah.
Like, you're wild. But anyway, I would probably say... I think when he sat down, like... Remember when he broke into the room?
Mm-hmm.
And he's just like... Just started crying. Like, he sat down and started crying. For me, the reason why that was impactful for me is because I felt like him. I feel like if I were in... I feel like I tend to end up in his type of situations where something happens and I have to be like the leader who's getting everybody together. And nobody has, and think about it from this perspective. This was somebody who was very close with. Like, he lost basically like a father figure.
Right.
And now he's trying to find this person's replacement, and he's figuring out everything that I've ever believed in has been fake. Or not necessarily fake. I don't want to say that. There's been things that have been going on behind the scenes that I have not been privy to. Now I'm trying to get it all together. I'm figuring it out. And now it also means I'm starting to question you now.
And it's
Were you
all
a part of
on
that?
your shoulders.
And it's all on my shoulders.
Yeah.
And I don't even have a second to mourn. So, like, him sitting on that, breaking in and sitting on the bed after he found something or whatever, and he just kind of like let it all out in that moment. I don't know. I found that to be impactful for me because I feel like that would be the time that I would do it too. It's like I would just break down and like, boy, what is going on? What is happening right now?
Right.
But what didn't work for you? Are there any plot holes? I didn't think there was plot holes, but go ahead.
I don't think there were plot holes. I just think it was a movie that felt longer than it was.
Break it down.
You know?
Oh, 100%.
Like, it felt longer than it was. I feel like there were times where it kind of drug. Yeah. We watched it in 2 days. Where it kind of drug along. It was kind of drug out.
So it didn't pace well.
Yeah, it didn't pace very well, I would say.
Okay, I feel you. I would feel the same. Now, you've already said that you wouldn't watch this film or again.
I don't think the rewatchability is there for me. Again, if you put it on, maybe I'd watch it with you, but yeah, it's just not it for me.
All right, Pear. Let me tell you something, man. We're about to give it a score. Do you want to give it a score? What's your score on Conclave? Oh, man, he's not giving me no answers. Okay, so here we go. I need to tell y'all what the rubric is. So we score based on, obviously, our feelings, but I score more of the technical aspects. She scores more of the non-technical aspects because that's how we watch films. And then we average it together, and from 1 to 3, that's going to be a skip it, all right? It's a bad movie with little to no redeeming qualities. From 4 to 6, we call that background noise. And it has some good moments, but it's not really must-watch material. 7 to 8, press play. A solid watch with noticeable strengths. It's worth recommendation, okay? And 9 to 10 is press next level. It's an exceptional movie. Golly.
You got it.
That stands out as a must see. So, drum roll, please. Where do we get this one? Conclave. You get a background noise. I'm sorry. It has some good moments, but it isn't must-watch material.
Right.
And I feel like that's justified.
Yeah, no, I feel like it's justified. We gave it a 6. It's high on the background noise scale.
Yes.
So
Right on the edge of press play.
yeah, on the cusp. So, watch it if you won't. What?
Won't watch it if you won't. Watch it if you won't. Don't watch it if you don't want to.
Yeah, watch it if you want. And, don't if you don't.
And we are going to be here to watch more movies. So thank y'all for listening and sticking around. You know what I mean?
And continue to join us on our Oscar run.
Yeah, the Oscar run. Oscar proud.
But thank y'all for listening. And as always, when you're watching TV and it asks you still watching, always press next.
Bye.